What's up, guys? Coach B here, and we are back with The Excellent Way, and I am joined, as always, by the lovely Marka.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about mindset and ways that you can use that to continue to build an excellent life and live the excellent way. So why don't you introduce what we're chatting about today?
Yeah, so a quote Brandon put out this week was, your new goals are going to cost you your old mindset. And so kind of just briefly, like, what does that mean?
So it has to do with identity, right? So we're in the fitness space, so I can use the fitness example, right? So we work with people often who are trying to lose weight. That's most of what we work with, okay? And so when you first start out on that, okay, I need to lose some weight. And then you start that process, you become somebody who is, I'm this person who's on a weight loss journey. And that's okay, but eventually that runs out, right? You lose the 30, 40, 50 pounds that you want to lose. You've hit that goal. Well, now what? Right? Well, I'm on a weight loss journey. I'm on a weight loss journey. And you've said it over and over and over and over again for the past, 3, 6, 12, 18, 24 months to get to that goal, that weight loss goal. And now you hit the goal, but inside you're still that person on a weight loss journey. And so what happens? You backslide. You regain the weight. Your brain will tell your body, oh, hey, we need weight to lose again so we can be on a weight loss journey. And so there's never this shift where you've lost the weight and then you're just done. You've lost the weight. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be able to shift out of that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked to people about this before, and well, what is your goal? Well, I want to lose this weight, or I want to look like so-and-so, but I've never seen myself there. And so for some people, that's even just a roadblock from the beginning, because they already aren't seeing, they have this goal in the mind and they know that they need to do this, or they just really want to do this, but they can't even actually see themselves there. Mm-hmm. And does that play into the...
Yeah, so that's the bigger conversation about it, right? It's going from this place of, I need to lose weight, or I'm on a weight loss journey, to, well, you have to ask yourself the question, how do I lose the weight, right? If I want to lose 40 pounds, how do I lose the weight? Well, I have to eat correctly. I have to exercise on a regular basis. I have to sleep well. Those are the big three things. So, okay, those are the three things you have to do. Who does that? That's the next question you have to ask. What do I have to do to get that goal? Okay, cool. That's what I have to do. Now, who does that? So who eats right, trains regularly, and sleeps well? Fit people. Fit people do that. Mm-hmm. So you have to go from, I'm on a weight loss journey. You have to go from, I want to lose weight, to this place of, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a fit person. I'm going to make decisions that a fit person makes.
And we all know that's exactly it, because when you're in a spot, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I've done this, still probably do, and if you're going to be honest with yourself, you've all done it. You go somewhere and you see someone who's really fit, looks good, you can tell they do those things. Mm-hmm. And you're at a restaurant and you see them order something super healthy, and you make a comment like, well, you're out for dinner, why don't you just treat yourself? Or, God, you make those little comments that are somewhat mean, and they're coming from a really bad place inside, but that's what they've done, is they've made that transition. I get to go out to eat, and that's a great thing. But when I do that, I'm going to think of this as I'm not missing out on all that stuff that makes me feel like crap. I'm going to continue and be the person I am, and this is what I eat. And so, people innately know that, you do have to think differently.
Yeah, and it really is that it's a shift, right? So, if I'm now going to make decisions that a fit person makes, then what ends up happening is when you do go out for dinner, you make decisions that about what you're going to eat that a fit person would make.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, somebody who's just a fit person is going to look at the menu and just know innately, I'm going to make a healthier decision, right? And the hard part about that is it feels like you're not having fun, right? To your point, like you're out for dinner, treat yourself, enjoy it, right? Okay, that can work sometimes. If I'm out celebrating somebody got a promotion, or I'm at somebody's wedding or something of that nature, then yes, I'm going to participate in that. I'm going to be sociable. I'm going to enjoy myself. But a fit person doesn't let themselves go off the rails. Okay? If I'm out for dinner because we're celebrating somebody's promotion and we're out for drinks, I'm going to have a drink with them. 1, not 3 or 4 or 5. Or I'm not going to have a drink and nachos and dessert and whatever else comes to the wings, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to have a drink. I'm going to high five some people, and then I'm probably going to either shift to drinking. Like my trick when I go to like networking events is like I'll switch to just soda water and lime. So it feels like I'm drinking something fancy, but I'm making a better decision, and I'm not really missing out.
Yeah.
I'm there to be with the people. It just so happens that there's other food and other drinks there. If food comes out, I'm going to either not have any of the food, or I'm going to make better choices about the food that's there. Yeah. And so it really is this mindset shift of, and we hear people say all this all the time, you have to trade what you want most for what you want now. If what I want most is to be a fit person so that I feel healthy all the time, then in that right now moment, I'm going to skip dessert. Everybody else ordered dessert. I'm okay. I'm good today. And yeah, it might make me the socially awkward person. It might make me the odd person out. Or maybe it influences everybody else to make the same decision.
Right.
I'm standing my ground because I've decided for me, the most important thing is that I want to live like a healthy, fit person. And so I've done that.
Yeah. And changing your mindset isn't something that just like click happens. Like you're going to have days where you're like, you can do that. Like you go out and you're like, nope, I'm good. Then you're going to have days where you're like, oh my gosh. And you're just like awkwardly drooling over someone else's food. Or you wake up in the morning and I'm like, I am not working out. My body hurts. I'm tired. I'm going to sit and watch The Bachelor all day.
Mm-hmm. No.
I just said that to get his goat. So it's not like, I don't want people to think like that's an easy, like,
no.
Oh, it's just going to switch.
And it's not. And like the way you do that, the way you make those mindset shifts is once you've asked yourself the question, okay, what do I need to do to achieve this goal? Okay, cool. Those are the things I need to do. Who makes those decisions? Well, this kind of person makes those decisions. So now what you have to do is, okay, I need to identify with that kind of mindset. How do I get there? I'm going to set standards in place that are higher than what I would want to do default, right? To use a different example, we talked about this just a few minutes ago. Like if your objective is to get out of debt, mm-hmm. right? Like what I see happen with people all the time is, okay, I'm on a debt-free journey. I'm going to be debt-free. I'm going to be debt-free. I'm going to be debt-free, which is really great, and you should do that. But what happens is, same thing. Okay, you've paid off all the debt.
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
I can tell you now what. They get those cards out that they put in a drawer, or they go get a new card from the one they cut up. They order a new card, and they start ordering, going, I'm gonna buy this on this credit card, and I'm gonna pay it off. And then they never pay it off because in their subconscious mind, they want to be in debt because they're on a debt-free journey. They haven't made that shift to, okay, why do I want to be debt-free? Well, because I want to eventually be wealthy. I want to live without that stress. Okay, well, who makes the decisions? What kind of person makes the decisions to keep themselves out of debt and live wealthy? Well, wealthy people do. Okay, what are the standards that they live at to keep themselves there? And you have to start thinking that way. And so when you ask the question who, now you can start looking at the decisions those kinds of people make, and you start making those decisions in your life. And now it becomes a discipline of, this is the standard at which I live, and I'm not going to falter from it. I may be tempted. Like, you're going to be tempted to step away from that standard.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. But it's a decision, it's an active decision to say, what do I want most? I want most to be debt-free. I want most to live like a wealthy person. I want most to live like a healthy, fit person. So I'm going to, in this moment, make a decision that aligns with what I want most versus what I want now, right? Mm-hmm. You can tie those two together, right? A healthy, fit person, right, will make a decision, a healthy decision at dinner. You go out to dinner with your friends, you're going to make a healthy decision about what you choose to eat. And then when dinner's over and everybody else is ordering dessert, you're probably going to say, no, just go ahead and bring me a cup of decaf coffee or something because maybe it's late. Right? So I'm going to sit there and I'm going to sip on my coffee or my tea while everybody has dessert, right? Well, you just also made a decision that a wealthy person would make. I'm not going to spend extra money on something I don't need just because I want it. Mm-hmm. Because what I want more is to be healthy and fit. What I want more is to be wealthy and debt-free. And so it's just that what leads to the flip in mindset is setting standards in place that you're going to adhere to.
Yeah, and we kind of do this when we have weak moments, and I mean, this one falls under both, right? Like, I just want to go to Freddy's. Like, that's our favorite burger place as a family. Like, or I just want to go to Dunkin' Donuts because I'm just having a rough day. I just wanted something to eat. And then whoever is the one that wants it, the other one is in a little bit of a stronger place, and so they'll be like, nope, that's not a good idea. Marcus, that's not going to follow your goal. Or Brandon, mine is health and, losing weight, and yours is being wealthy. And so, we can kind of play off of each other's and remind each other in that moment. So it's always good to have someone else there mm-hmm. that is in with you on the goal, at least knows about the goal, or maybe is trying to achieve that with you so that you can help each other.
Yeah, and I think the other thing and as you're talking, this just kind of pops into my head, is a lot of times when you make that shift, you get embarrassed about it, mm-hmm. right? Like, I want to be, so I'm at a place in my fitness where I'm happy with how fit I am. Mm-hmm. It's taken me several years of work and discipline and battles and all of that to get to this place. But I'm pretty happy, and I have a set of standards by which I stand, and I keep myself healthy. So now the next step for me is building, kind of digging out of some bad generational, like, poverty mindset stuff, building some good habits in, building a legacy of wealth and good money management and things like that into our family. So, sometimes you get embarrassed to say something like that. Like, I want to live like a wealthy person lives, so I'm going to decide to make these decisions. And so then when you're out with friends or you're talking about with people, sometimes they'll ask you about it, and you almost get embarrassed. Like, mm-hmm. I don't want to talk about this. And that's part of that mindset shift. It's part of that flipping that over into this place where not only have I set these standards in place, but I'm also going to be confident in saying, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm trying to do this. Even in the midst of, you may have a longtime friend that might ridicule you for it. Oh, come on, it's just one. No, this is really important to me, and I'm going to stand by it. You don't have to be boastful, and you don't have to, you don't have to be a zealot. You don't have to, preach to everybody, you should do what I'm doing. Woo! You can just say, no, I'm doing this for me, and this is the standard that I'm going to live by. And you don't have to be embarrassed about it, but addressing that up front as you're setting those standards becomes important. Yeah. Because if you don't know how you're going to handle that, you'll likely cave under that pressure, And so being able to have the confidence and the maturity to say, hey, I'm trying to achieve this, so hey, no, I'm not going to do that. That's a tough place to be.
And sometimes that comes with also maybe, and this is probably a whole nother podcast, so I'll just mention it real quick, but also that might mean that there are certain people that you need to pull away from.
Right. No, it's a great point, and it probably could be its own podcast, but it may not mean you completely cut those people out of your life, although that may have to happen too. But sometimes it means that you just don't hang out with that person as often.
It's a lot easier to change your mindset and keep your goals if you're around other people that are in that same, like, I'm a fit person, so you hang out with people that make good decisions. Like right. when fit people do go out to eat, we usually do eat really well. Mm-hmm. Like when our box goes out to eat, we usually all pick pretty good foods. We don't ever order desserts usually. Mm-hmm. So just hanging around people that are in that same mindset right. is helpful to keep you on the right path. Right.
Well, I mean, just more to that point. I mean, think about when we think about the wealthiest of the wealthy, and we think about it as like a club, they're in the wealthy club, they're in the rich boy club.
Yeah, they kind of are.
And yeah, they kind of are, because they hang out with each other and hold each other accountable to those standards of, we're going to make good money decisions. And if there's somebody that's going to try and hang out with me and they're making poor money decisions, they're either going to come up to my level or they're not going to be around me. And they're not embarrassed to make that distinction. Yeah. And now I can go the other direction and they can be really snooty about it. I think that, I think a lot of reasons why people don't go to gyms, or you have the rise of Planet Fitness, because fit people do that too. Oh yeah. I'm a healthy, fit person, and if you're somebody who's not going to be healthy and fit, I don't want to be around you. But then you have the pendulum swings the other way and they get mean about it, mm-hmm. Then that just turns people off to making good decisions. So there's some, again, this is a whole other podcast, but if you're going to make those decisions, it may mean that you don't hang out with people who aren't going to support you in that decision. Yeah. If that conversation comes up, we're like, hey, cool, I'll go out with you, but I'm only going to have one drink. And then you have the one drink, and it's like, I'll have one more. No, dude, I'm just going to have the one, and, I'll sit here and I'll just grab a water and sit here and hang out with you.
And honestly, that kind of happens when you have kids. I was talking to someone about it the other day, and I was like, I just don't have a ton of friends right now. One, personally, I just am working on other relationships that are more important to me than friends. But two, her point was that as soon as she became a mom and had to say, no, because my kid's going to be there, or can you guys come here? People just start to disperse anyway when they don't line up with your values. And it's just part of life. And it happens. But,
and that happens, so.
Okay, so let your goals become your new identity.
I don't know that it would be necessarily an identity, but let it inform how your identity is going to form.
Okay.
Right? Because if you don't graduate past the I'm trying to change to I'm just going to make decisions that this kind of person would make, then you get stuck in that loop, and that's where people end up on that roller coaster. I've lost the weight, I've gained the weight. I've lost the weight, I've gained the weight.
It's okay to change for your identity to change, though. People, I think, sometimes are scared of that. So don't be scared of that. Let your goals help your mindset change around who you are. Mm-hmm. Make sure you're making wise decisions based on that new mindset. And when you're feeling tired or burnt out or whatever it is, that's, help yourself remember the why you want to be that person. Yeah. And
it's the other thing that I want to point out to folks too, and we're trying to wrap this up so that it just doesn't go too long, but folks, we're meant to change. Yeah. We're meant to grow and mature, and if we stayed the same all the time, and we all know this person, we know that the guy or the girl who's exactly the same now in their 30s and 40s as they were in high school, and they are annoying
and unhappy usually,
and usually pretty unhappy. Not always, they may not necessarily be unhappy, but they haven't matured beyond that high school age mentality, and so then it's just difficult to be around that person.
Yeah, there was a whole Friends episode about that.
Yeah. And so it's like this idea of like, well, I can't change because this is who I am. Well, you should change. You're meant to change. You're meant to grow and evolve and become a better, wiser, stronger, more mature person. And that only happens by identifying the kind of person you want to be and then setting the standards for your life that line up with, like, the decisions that line up with that.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys.
There you go. So there's your mindset podcast. It's just something that popped up that we just thought was a great conversation. So, guys, if you have questions for us, feel free to email us, team@crossfitelm.com. Or you can message us on any of our social media channels.
And if you guys like what we have to say, share with your friends.
Yeah, and definitely share the podcast. It's super helpful for us as we come across these conversations. Share it with people who might benefit from it, and they may have other questions that might help us have new podcast episodes and have different discussions for different people. So,
yeah.
All right, that's it, guys. Have a excellent week.